This week on Prof and Dev Play Games, we are reviewing the Xbox Developer Direct and talking about Microsoft and their messages about where their games are going moving forward. Stay tuned. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 463 of Prof and Dev Play Games.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Blue Sky. Over there's Anthony, the dev. He makes games. He plays games. He is something at Summer
Speak on Blue Sky.
On Blue Sky. I was trying really hard not to say the T word, so it
just messed up the entire flow. I know.
It did. Because I was thinking about last week. I was like, I can't do it again.
Can't do it.
Anyway, Summer Speak on Blue Sky. How are you?
I'm good. Just enjoying a weekend. Tomorrow is another Monday, though, and my life is meetings right now. So
yeah,
I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to be either listening or talking a majority of the day tomorrow. So when people tell you what's making games like, a lot of times it's just talking to people.
Talking about games.
Yeah. Such is life. You gotta keep things organized, it's herding cats. And the way to herd cats is to actually talk and discuss and make sure everyone's on the same page. So that's my life. But the weekend's been decent. I'm trying to think of what I did. Nothing special. Errands yesterday. I did get some more Magic cards yesterday. That was fun.
Oh, nice. What?
Innistrad Remastered.
Oh, yeah.
At least a little bit of that. Because Innistrad's my favorite Magic plane, by far.
Wow.
And I'm not going to buy a ton of it or anything. It's just I want to buy a few packs of it because for nostalgia's sake, it's the gothic horror.
Yeah.
Plane, so it's a lot of werewolves and vampires and zombies, your classic monsters. Always just really love the look of it. That's probably the set I played the most. I think that was 2010, sometime around there was when it came out originally. The first block. They introduced this whole thing.
So this is basically remastering that set?
Kind of. There was 3 sets back in that, the 2010-ish time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've recently, when I was out of Magic, they've done 3 more sets over on that plane. And so it's just kind of taking a collection of all those cards, fan favorites. The obnoxious thing with Magic right now, and when doing these remastered sets, because I've done a couple others, they are not standard legal.
Oh, because they are. That makes sense.
They're so if anyone's, I would say it does make sense if you know Magic, but for a new player experience, they're oh, this is the latest set. It's oh, actually, you can't play that in your normal time frame.
You can only play it in what's it called? Not standard, or is it standard?
You can't play it in standard. Standard is the current sets,
the last 2 or 3 years.
Couple years, 2 or 3 years. You can play it in Modern.
Modern, that's the word.
Is the other big one, and Commander are the 2 other kind of big ones. We'll say Commander is rad. That's a fun format.
Commander's fun. I love the fact that it's just one of every card.
Mm-hmm.
Just
that's the best part about it.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit more casual, a little bit more random, but also meant to be played with up to usually 4 people playing. So there's a lot of just mayhem that goes on.
When I took my daughter to my neighbors and we played 4-player Magic, God, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
It's a much more social experience at that point. You can politic as well and be okay, don't attack me,
mm-hmm.
and I won't attack you next turn, okay, but I'm going to take that. If I do this to them, just
look, they're the biggest threat. Let's all focus on them.
The politics of it make it kind of fun, a neat social game at that point. So, that was my fun for the weekend. Anything new for you?
Not really. I took my daughter to work yesterday. I had a bunch of meetings online, and then I had a swearing-in ceremony for a politician that we supported. So went and did that. She had a good time because I brought the Switch for her. So she made some art for my office, and then she played the Switch. And then today we just hung out and came out to the garage, and she did the American Ninja Warrior course that I set up in the garage for her. But while she was doing that, I set up the Wind Waker randomizer, and on the computer, and we'll talk about that later. But
Okay.
that's what we spent quite a bit of time with that today and had a lot of fun. So we'll dig into that. But first, we're going to dig into the Xbox_Direct. We're going to talk about the games that were announced. There were a lot of cool games. And I think overall, my impression was the dominoes for Microsoft are starting to fall. What do you think?
I don't think you're wrong there. I think I guess I would ask you, expand on that. What dominoes are starting to fall?
Well, I think the main thing is that there's a number of games coming out in a very quick succession that people actually want to play, and they're coming out. I think the whole thing is we're going to put out these big games. We're putting out Doom: The Dark Ages. We're putting out the things that we knew were coming out this year before the fall, because we don't know when Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out. So we just want to get everything out before the summer because we know GTA 6 is not going to land there. And I think the studios are finally delivering on some of these games. But for people who've been in Xbox for a long time, they're coming to other places.
All of them are coming to other places.
They didn't say anything about South of Midnight yet.
Oh, that's true. I bet at minimum it's PC, of course. I bet it would be on Steam, minimum. And
yes, I think that's
there. The other three are all coming everywhere. Probably. Well, Ninja Gaiden, I don't think they said specifically yet.
No, that's the only one that was kind of like pushed out into the fall, and it's I guess it's a partnership. It's not really their game, so.
I mean that's true. But I know like Doom, Dark Ages is everywhere. Like it'll be on PlayStation, PC,
and day and date.
Yeah, day and date. It's looked at Clair Obscura the same way. Everything. As I was like, can I get this on PlayStation? Yeah, I could pre-order it right now for PlayStation. It's up. South of Midnight was the only other one they showed there that there's not a lot of detail on its release right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if it potentially also comes to PlayStation eventually. I say this only because of the news that we can also goes along with this, in that this was the Series X and S have sold fewer consoles than the predecessor, which is
sold fewer than the Xbox One.
Yes.
Jesus, and the Xbox One was terrible.
Yes. And there's they've just understand now they can't release games just for their platform because they will never make back their money on their platform alone. And this is where I'm like, I don't even. This is why they want to make a Windows handheld or something that is more than just an Xbox handheld. I would think. But man, the odds are stacked against him at this point. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Spencer was on a couple of places. He was on Destin Legary's show, and then he was on Gamertag Radio, where the questions were basically along the lines of, is any game off limits to come to PlayStation or anywhere else? And he's like, no, everything's on the table. Whereas
they want to make money.
Yeah, well, a year or 2 years ago, it was just these 4 games. And I think Destin asked him, all right, what about Starfield? And like, nope, that could come too. And you're right. If the S and the S combined have sold less than the Xbox One, they're fucked. Like in selling only on their console. So, Xbox gamers who are committed to that platform at least get it on Game Pass. They don't have to buy the game. I guess that's the only advantage. I guess now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they're in that spot. But they've spent so much money on studios. And games going along with that, they just have to make back those budgets, and that they're not going to do it just selling. Clearly, this isn't selling consoles for themselves. So, honestly, it's kind of crazy when I think back to the history of the Xbox XS in this generation. They really flubbed Halo. That was the one. That was the one that needed to land hard to get console sales. And then everything else has just been kind of pushed. Starfield as well could have probably done good sales but those games haven't landed as like these are system sellers. Like
none of them have been must plays. And certainly they're on PC, but let's take that out of the equation. If someone's a console only gamer, like maybe they would pick one up if there was a must play game on the Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an Xbox One. No, fuck. I mean, I used to have an Xbox One. I have an Xbox Series X that I rarely touch. It's the one. It's the only current gen machine that has a disc drive. So if I want a
Yeah.
physical version of a game that's not on Switch, I will get it on Xbox Series X, and
Yeah.
that's the only reason I turn that thing on. I did
Yeah.
get it to update Baldur's Gate 3,
Hmm.
and install Fire Rubicon. Fire is it Rubicon? Armored Core
Oh
6.
yeah. Armor Core 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
but I don't have Game
yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
That's just we use that to play DVDs and Blu-rays, and yeah.
And all this, the 4 games that they did show, I guess, as you mentioned before the podcast, 5, because there was Ninja Gaiden Black 2?
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black or Ninja
2
Gaiden Black
Black?
2? Yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah.
previous one that that is also coming out.
It was
But really,
Shadow Drop. Yeah.
the 4 games that they showed are all coming to Game Pass.
Yep.
With Doom, Dark Ages, you need Game Pass Ultimate to play day one. That's their whole. Is this the first one that's coming out that is that now that they've shifted that where it's like no, it's not just
Indiana Jones, I think was the first one.
It was the same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Where they're like, no, actually, sorry, everyone. There's not all Game Pass gets day one, day and date day one.
No, you gotta pay for the super expensive version.
Yeah.
Which I keep thinking, depending on how this goes, like if I pick up Game Pass, like a 3-month Ultimate Game Pass in May, I will hit all these games and be able to check them all out.
Yeah.
And that'll be cheaper than picking one up. But I am interested in supporting South of Midnight. I really want to get a physical version of that one. And
I don't know if they're doing a physical version.
Oh,
I was looking.
No,
I was looking pretty hard because I was like, okay, I know that I can get physical copies of Clair Obscura because I'm like Best Buy has those. Check that. Doom Dark Ages, they announced a whole big old physical collectors. Like you can get physical editions of that. Ninja Gaiden is so far out in the future. There's no pre-orders or anything for that right now. But South of Midnight has no, as far as I can see, nothing physical mentioned anywhere.
That's fucking heartbreaking. I think that's something that I would like to have on disc. And the price is intriguing. It's a $40 game, which, a couple of things speaks to me on that one. One, it could be a smaller game, which is going to be right up my alley. I'd love to have a smaller game. Something like Kena, which was like 8 hours, 10 hours, something like that. Which this really reminds me of, not in terms of, culture where it's set or anything, but just the gameplay. But God, I wanted to get that on disc. Okay. Well,
I've seen nothing that says that it's getting a disc release.
It's not then. Unless the limited run does something.
Exactly. There's a possibility.
Yeah. Well, and that's where physical, media is going. I think we all saw the charts from Circana where it peaked in 2008 and now it's like declined 86%. And I swear to God, most of those physical sales are probably Switch because people tend to buy physical.
I thought you were going to say most of those physical sales are me.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe you. But I feel like Switch is the one where I guess I'm just using my experience. I physical almost exclusively, if I can, for Nintendo games. Everything else I don't care. But man, so no physical now.
Was that Circana report? That was That was US, right? Or was that worldwide?
Yeah, I believe so. No, I thought it was US.
The Circana. I could be wrong. US only, yeah, because the US is like that. Other countries aren't. Like Japan is very physical.
Yeah.
People want their physical stuff there. Like even visiting Japan, like the amount of places where I could just go and just get just walls and walls of physical video games was incredible. It reminded me of my childhood. But yeah, US has really pushed us. Go ahead.
I keep thinking about GameStop, where the last 2 or 3 game releases that I wanted a physical version of, I didn't pre-order because I don't trust their pre-orders. So I just go in day one to get it, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have it unless you pre-ordered." I'm like, well, how the fuck are you going to sell games if people can't come on day one to get the game?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I get most of my physical copies of like PS5 and Switch games now. I get through Best Buy. and I don't go into a store to
Yeah.
get them. Like, I just have them shipped to me because actually they do not carry them in store, but they at least still sell the physical one. You can have it delivered to a store or you can have it delivered to your house, but I'm like, that's fine. At least they're still doing it.
Just send it to my house.
But
yeah,
I don't.
Well, overall, I'm
it's rough
I'm
out
not
there.
unhappy with it. Well, it is, and that's why I'm not unhappy with Xbox just opening up and selling their games everywhere, because more gamers having more games, like we're seeing with Final Fantasy or Square Enix buying our games and seeing our games. It's got to be the way forward for viability. Primarily PS5 and Switch player, like great, bring good Xbox games, my consoles, great, sounds good.
Yeah, pretty much just become. They're doing what Sega did, where it's like, hey, wait, to do this, we should just. Our platform's not viable for the games we want to make and the budgets we're going to have, so open it up all over the place. It's sad that we're not going to have a direct competitor to Sony. This is when Sony becomes dumb. In the past, maybe someone else will step in, but maybe not.
I mean,
maybe Valve will make not the Steam Deck, but push to a new Steam machine again, using the latest Steam OS and being like, guess what? It's a standalone console. They could, honestly.
That's the competitor. I agree. That's exactly where my mind went.
Something.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know if Valve has the desire to go outside of Steam Decks at the moment. We'll see. But as for this showcase, I thought all the games looked great overall.
They really did. I thought so too.
They're all bangers. I can talk specifically like the Clair Obscura thing. That game's going to be so dark. That storyline is so screwed up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you die, but you're killed by the time you're 33. Whatever.
Yeah, that's the 33. You're 33, and every year it's been ticking down.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it's just a constant, like, they're trying to stop this, like, cosmic entity horror that is causing this thing. That's what the expeditions are, and you're Expedition 33. So it's trying to stop this so that it eventually just stops ticking down.
Well, this is really
screwed up world.
It is
crap.
And we're aping so much of JRPG history here and combining it into something new that by the end of this, you are going to kill God. Like, the God is causing this to happen.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
It looks fucking great, dude.
French
this looks so
God
good.
this time.
Yes, a French God, exactly. But this game looks great, man.
Yeah, it really does. It looks neat. It looks like a very unique spin on, like, Persona in a lot of ways. Just the active time to the combat should be a lot of fun. It doesn't look like insanely hard or anything, but it should keep you seeming like engaged while doing the combat, and the animations and effects look really good.
Really good.
I'm really impressed by this, like, team making this. Like, I think they're showing the actual power of the Unreal Engine and what you can do with they're a 30-person team making this game, and it looks that good.
I love, we've seen so far, like, the combat, and I love the camera angles. I think they're really, the camera angles more than anything else, like, make it seem more unique, even though it's, I don't know, something you would expect from that kind of battle system that's slightly aping Persona. But the overworld is gorgeous, and I love that we got to see it this time.
Yeah, they're like, there's an overworld, like an actual overworld where I guess the world is like miniature and you're big moving around it, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. It has some comedy to it with the blimp guy that you fly around on.
That's your fucking airship, basically.
There's a lot. I'm like, okay, this is a very unique game. Pretty excited about that. South of Midnight looked cool. It's just more of what we saw before in a lot of ways to me.
Oh yeah, it's just more of what we saw.
Art style is really cool. Very unique. I'm excited to see how that one does.
I'm interested in the idea that you can turn off I don't know if it's like 24 frames per second or whatever it is. You can turn that
Yeah,
off and play in like 60 or 30 or whatever.
that'd be great. That's great.
Yeah, I like that because a lot of people are just like that. I don't know how fun that's going to be to play.
Yeah,
And after Jesus Christ, like having Ninja Gaiden start this out and then go
yeah,
to South of Midnight, where you're like, wow, it's slow intentionally, but wow, the
yeah,
juxtaposition makes it look really slow. But
yeah,
my God, I don't think I'm more excited for a game that I know is coming out this year than South of Midnight, and I'm just praying to God that it lands because it has such promise in the story, the way it looks.
yeah,
Um, Everything about it looks really cool. And I hope it's fucking good.
yeah, yeah. Um, what is that team's pedigree?
Well, We Happy Few.
Okay.
I don't know if they've done anything else besides We Happy Few, but they released We Happy Few, and then Microsoft bought them, and then they've been working on this.
Oh, they did Contrast as well originally back
Mm.
on PS4. I remember that. I know. Hopefully, I mean, that's the thing. I think We Happy Few did okay. I
Yeah,
think
it was okay.
that was the thing. And actually, Metacritics were like at 62, 67 for
Yeah,
Happy
right.
Few. I remember it was kind of buggy, if I remember right. Contrast, similar. I'm hoping like this is them learning from their past and being like, okay, let's take all our learnings and make something pretty incredible. Again, another Unreal Engine 5 game as well.
I like that we're in that era now. Like we're getting things that look like this. Like we're
Yeah,
finally. I don't know if I buy into this gen has been disappointing, but there hasn't been like PS4 generation was a fucking banger,
yeah,
and this one not as much. So I'm happy to see this.
yeah. Should be cool.
So
I don't
that's
have
a
a
day
lot to
one
say
for me,
about Ninja Gaiden. Um,
dude. It looks.
it looks
I don't.
cool. It looks
Yeah,
rad. I'm just
fucking
like, but I'm
hell.
like, all right. I just know the previous ones I've ever played, the original Xbox when I played it, like the modern 3D ones, they're hard as hell.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, is this one hard as hell? Because I don't know if I could do it. Because I couldn't do the past ones. Like, I just did not have the skill.
Well, did they
Uh,
mention it here or for Ninja Gaiden 4 specifically? Did they mention it at this one or was it later in the press release or whatever that they've got some sort of adaptable play style
oh, I
where
don't.
if it's
Yeah,
really
that'd be
fucking
good.
hard for you, then it kind of just like it doesn't set it on
Chills,
auto,
chills a
but
little bit.
it does. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure. That'd be
That'd be
interesting to see how
good.
that goes.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice. So yeah, I'm waiting to just kind of see more as the year goes on. I expect we'll see more in the summer, late summer. Um, again
It
on
is
it.
it is just too gory for me. Like it's just
Sure.
not I don't know. It looks
It's
interesting, but
yeah, it's pretty intense gore.
yeah.
And then speaking of gore, you got Doom Dark Ages, which just looks fun as hell.
Oh my god, yeah. That's the opposite side. Like this gore, it looks good. It looks fine.
Yeah,
Um,
we're just destroying demons. That's fine.
exactly, exactly. Oh my god, it looks incredible. Like mixing Doom with like medieval shit. Like
Yeah,
whoever thought of that was a genius. That looks fucking awesome.
yeah. It just looks like a blast to play overall. Just um, everything that modern Doom is now. Did that? I mean, I haven't really touched the other ones. The
I
new
played
Doom.
2016, but not
Did they
Eternal.
did they have multiplayer? Because this one doesn't. And I want to
I
say they
I
didn't.
never played multiplayer on those, so I have no idea.
Oh, they did. The 2016 had multiplayer,
Hmm.
a team deathmatch. Does Doom Eternal? Or did I don't. I've never seen the multiplayer really like. Um, no, I don't think Doom Eternal did. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I didn't even know 2016 had that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm just like that's kind of my thing. Maybe they just said like, no, like, that's not what people want here. They want. And the thing is they can make the games better if they're just single player. They can do a lot more
Oh yeah.
combat mechanics without having to worry about is this going to be fun in multiplayer.
Yep.
Um,
Well, I
so
love this. There's a line here from IGN's to kind of breakdown of this whole direct. where 2016's Doom was all about run and gunning, which is exactly what that game was, and Doom Eternal was about making you feel like a fighter jet. Doom the Dark Ages wants players to stand and fight with confidence as an iron tank, which sounds rad. That's like my play style. I want to be there and just fucking shoot. And then they're strafing. They had mentioned like, original Doom, classic Doom, like bringing a bit of that play style and letting you strafe.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. This looks fucking rad. This looks so good. And it's coming to PlayStation day one.
Yep. Day one.
Great choice.
And on PC, this is an interesting one. Like Indiana Jones, this is now the second game that requires a graphics card that can do ray tracing.
Oh, well, you can't play it if you don't have one of those?
Correct.
Oh, so what's the minimum that can do ray tracing?
NVIDIA 2060.
Okay.
So, a very old card, and I've seen comparisons of on PC. If you try to do a original 2060, you can't play like Indiana Jones cranked or anything, but it looks fine overall. Yeah. So, but it's definitely like, that's interesting. We're now entering to the age where games are going to require having ray tracing capabilities.
I wonder why. Like, what's that choice? Just because that's what the art style, that's what they want it to look like?
Better lighting, better shadows. Like, they might not be used. They're probably using it for shadows more than anything, not full lighting. And like reflections. Reflections are real expensive. But shadows are cheaper, and they just make a much cleaner, better shadow and visual quality. So.
Oh, so you're saying that it reduces development cost to have ray tracing versus other stuff?
Yeah, if it works right. Yes.
That's interesting. Okay.
It could. Yeah, it's a choice, but it's happening. So I assume this is only going to get more the case as time goes on.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. As tech develops, and I don't know, the previews or reviews. I don't know which of the 5000 series cards for NVIDIA have come back. At least I've seen some that were like.
Well, I've seen the 5090s getting reviewed, and
that's what I've seen.
Incredibly expensive. For some more,
for like 30% increase, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's what I've seen for the most part.
You're gonna pay at minimum $2,000 for it, and then third party cards go up to like $3,000 for one graphics card. The 5080 reviews I think drop in a week or two.
Okay.
Which is a $1,000 card.
Right. Yeah. Anything.
Yeah, and then there's the 5070 and 5070 Ti's, which will be out a month or two later. Yeah. They always want to lead their, most expensive one first.
The people who are excited will grab that before.
So my coworker who buys every 90 series card ever that comes out.
Wow.
I'm like, that's some budget you have there for your gaming.
Good income, yeah.
But I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna keep rocking my 3060 because I don't know, I don't play anything that's that demanding.
Myself, I'll probably eventually get a 5070 Ti as time goes on.
What do you have right now? You have a 4000 series?
3080 Ti.
Oh, 3080 Ti. Okay.
Which is still fine. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm not seeing any problems there, but give it a year or two, I might pick up a cheaper 5070 potentially. I just want something. The key part that is annoying with the 5070 non-Ti only has 12 gigabytes of VRAM.
Yeah. The
5070 Ti has 16 gigabytes, and I want that extra VRAM.
Right, of course.
It's really, NVIDIA is just killing me there.
Well, is it like a Nintendo thing where like we're gonna launch with the LCD, we'll do the OLED later because we'll know you upgrade, like get people twice or what?
I don't think so. I mean, their 5070 Ti and the 5070 are launching at the same time.
Oh, they are? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this 5070 is 550, and then the 5070 Ti is 750. I think they're really screwing with their numbering in a lot of ways. In the past, what they call a 5070 Ti, looking at its stats, I would have actually considered that would have been the 5070. And what they call a 5070 right now, non-Ti one, would have been a 5060.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just shifting the whole performance up a bit, so they, I assume, can charge more than anything.
Is there a 5060?
Not yet.
Ah, okay.
There will be. They've just shifted the 60s used to be really decent, and they've been shifting them, starting really with the 40 series, kind of shifting them down in the performance charts.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have the same comparison to like to the bigger cards anymore. I don't know. It's just Nvidia doing Nvidia things because no one's competing with them, and they just go crazy,
Right?
And want to make a lot of money. So, but to make all that money, they can't afford 4 gigabytes more of VRAM.
That's ridiculous.
It is dumb. It's really dumb. I'm just like, come on, guys. So and if you want to do 4K, you want 16. So
right. Well, that's I'm happy with I got my my 2K monitor. That's kind of where I'm going to be at for PC gaming.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So that's a nice tangent for me, but that's my rant.
No, that's fine.
I will get off my soapbox. So Microsoft, though, I think you're going to get their games pretty much everywhere going forward, and we'll see if they have better hardware, something in the future that they're going to try to push. But I think the earliest they show anything is late this year. If they're going to do a handheld, it's not soon.
No, it's not soon. They said that. I would be surprised if it's even this year, but I'd be happy to see it this year. I think for sure we're going to see more hardware for them, and we're going to see the handheld as kind of like the S series kind of thing, and then you're going to see like a premium, like quite expensive, top tier console. Yeah, and nothing in between. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. Man, I feel like Phil Spencer is just tanking a ton of shit right now, probably for Microsoft.
It's bizarre. I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, I guess I do know what happened. He was pretty honest on that kind of funny interview where he's like, we lost the last generation, and that was a generation we could not lose because people are just carrying forward their digital libraries. Like, I'm like with my iPhone, all my shit's on Apple. I'm not switching to an Android. PS5 or PlayStation, I bought in on the PS4 generation and have a ton of money invested. I'm not going to switch over to Xbox. I have it on the side, and now, like, I would never buy an Xbox again because I don't need to. I can play their games elsewhere, so why buy the hardware? Unless there's something compelling about the handheld. But the Steam handheld is honestly great, and if the Switch 2 is a market improvement over the Switch 1, then I'm set there as well. So there's not much in the Xbox hardware that is necessary for me.
Yeah. I think we've got 9 weeks until like the Switch 2. Yeah, it's like 9 weeks from.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
From this Wednesday, I believe, is 9 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. I think you're going to see a ton of games announced for that platform at that point. Tons of third party, tons of stuff that is just like even already out that is just like,
oh yeah,
guess what? It's here now too because it can run it. So
here's Elden Ring on Switch 2, and guess what? It runs better than it does on Steam Deck, which was already
that's the thing. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get Baldur's Gate 3. Like, think of every big PC third party game or even console third party game is probably coming to the Switch 2.
They're gonna show you playing Baldur's Gate 3 on the Switch 2 with the fucking mouse as the Joy-Con.
Oh, that'd be hilarious! Holy cow! Oh my god!
You know what I hope? I know you've heard this everywhere, and people have been saying it everywhere, but I think it's totally true because the SNES, the mouse peripheral, it came with Mario Paint. To see a Mario Paint 2 would be dope.
That'd be hilarious. I had Mario Paint.
I played the shit out of Mario Paint. I recorded myself making drawings, making music. I bet you I could find those VHSs at my mom's house. Like, I fucking recorded that shit. I played the shit out of that. I loved it.
Yep. It was neat.
My daughter would love it. I would love to grab that. So I hope they're doing that. That's
a good call.
Hope. Maybe I should have picked it up in Fantasy Critic.
Is there a Fantasy Critic? Did they have
no,
it?
I don't know. I haven't checked, but I will tell you after this direct, I'm regretting counterpicking Clair Obscura, but there was not, we had to counterpick 2 early picks. So fuck, what are you going to do?
I don't know.
It looks rad. It looks so good.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about. No. The reviews, I watched like 3 videos on Assassin's Creed Shadows. They didn't like it.
The people that I follow, same thing. They didn't like it. There's a couple that I saw that did like it, so I just
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
it's pretty. I feel it's going to be mixed. They weren't like the harshest negative reviews, like Skill Up.
His was pretty harsh.
His was harsh. The 2 others that I listened to weren't as harsh. They were mostly criticizing the Yosuke in it, that side of it, being like, you can't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
You have to do the combat, and the combat isn't that great.
Yeah.
Or it's very samey, which is Assassin's Creed. So that's interesting. I was like, oh no. I know you picked it, but I'm also just, oh no, because I mean, like, we've waited so long for a Japan Assassin's Creed. They teased it from the first game, and I'm like, don't screw this up.
I want it to be good. Some people really did like it, so I'm hoping that they're right. But God, some of the, like, kind of funny they didn't like it very much.
I feel like it's just going to be more mixed than anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a good counterpick for you. Mario Paint Switch 2 is on Fantasy Critic.
There you go. You could do it.
That is a risky fucking gamble. Although with the changes now where we can drop,
yes, you could get you
can take more.
Maybe worth that in that way. That's a neat one. That'd be hilarious.
Oh God, I hope so. I can't wait. I would love to see that. But yeah, off this thing, I think the thing that I'm most excited for is probably, I mean, it's South of Midnight for sure. But, yeah. Clair Obscura looks really, really neat. So
it does. I as a developer, I'm amazed at what they're putting together with that size of a team, and I would love to know what their budget is, because their voice talent is also.
Oh yeah, Charlie Cox,
Ben Starr,
right?
Andy Serkis.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm like, how? What are you paying? Or maybe it's just not a huge I don't know how long the game is. That's the thing with it. Maybe it is a little bit shorter or not. I don't know. Jennifer English.
Oh, they said 30 hours. Members. Oh, that's awesome. She was the narrator for Baldur's Gate 3, right?
No. Who?
Oh, no.
She was. God, I know this. I should know this. Shadowheart.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Shadowheart. I knew she was in fucking.
Yeah, she was in BG3. That was like her breakout kind of thing. But she was also in I had before. She was in a bunch of other smaller stuff before that. She was like a small part in Elden Ring. And she's known Larian. She worked with them on Original Sin 2 long ago.
Yeah, so she was the voice of Redhead, whose name is escaping me, I think.
I don't know, but
it's pretty cool.
She's so I don't know, Clair Obscura though. I'm just like, what is your budget? How are you? You're getting some people for this. Yeah,
there was some news or some rumor. I can't remember which one it was, but basically that if you have a piece of art that is kind of promoting French culture, that you will be able to get some government funding. So I don't know if that's where some of that funding came from.
Potentially. I mean, that's a good point. There is grants and things you can get from different governments. Canada has some of the same. Right. Canadian companies can get those. I don't believe the U.S. has anything like that. So
no, and especially not now.
Not now. But I don't think even historically we've had anything like that.
No, I mean, National Endowment for the Arts grants, not for video games, maybe so much. But I guess the last thing to say on the underscore direct is I was really surprised to see so many release dates so quickly. And I know we talked about at the top about avoiding the best way to avoid Grand Theft Auto 6 is it's going to come out in the fall, so release before that.
Just get out in front of it.
But it's a cool first half, even just with, Xbox stuff. Some of those games are coming to PlayStation, so it's not like, well, look what's coming to Xbox and not to PlayStation. Like they're all coming to PlayStation 2, haha. But it is nice to see some really quality stuff coming out before.
Yeah, it is nice.
May. But honestly, it's just like, we're all looking forward to April for the Switch 2, but really 2 of these games launch in April. South of Midnight just after the Switch 2 Direct, and then later that month, Clair Obscura.
Yeah. Microsoft has, today's the 26th. 2.5 weeks, Avowed comes
Oh
out.
shit, that's right. Avowed comes out. That's right.
Um,
On the 18th.
yeah, so that kind of starting it off. It's just like next. At least they're getting games. Looks like Microsoft is roughly a game a month for this first part of the year.
Yeah, it was a good
Which is good
cadence.
for them. Yeah, it's a
Yep.
good cadence.
Yep.
Um,
February is
Honestly,
fucking wild.
better than Sony's going to be able to do this year. I'll say that.
Exactly.
Um,
But February is wild. We got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Civ 7,
7,
Avowed, Pirate
Monster
Yakuza, and Monster
Hunter
Hunter
Wilds.
Wilds. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then Split Fiction a little bit after that.
Yep, it's stacked.
Oh man, totally. Lots of stuff to choose for our fantasy critic. And by the way, I do not remember putting a bid in on unannounced Morrowind remake. Like,
I mean, Oblivion remake. I saw that and I was like,
Oblivion
really?
remake. I mean, I do not remember doing this. I looked at it today. I was like, oh wow, Anthony drafted Oblivion remake. That's bold. Wait, that's under South of Midnight. When did I do that? It said I did it for this week. What the hell?
I don't know.
I don't remember doing that. So anyway, it's on my list. So I guess we'll see if it happens.
If that actually materializes into something.
Yeah, I would have expected it to see something of it here, but oh well. Unless you have anything else on that, we can pivot to what we've been playing.
Good. Cool. For myself, I'll go first. I only have one thing that I've majorly played because most of the week I didn't play much. But starting Friday night, Diablo 4 again. Because it's the season started.
Yeah.
Season of the Witch. I mean, it's Diablo 4 with the expansion. This is the first season after the expansion, so I was curious what they would do with it. Mechanically, it's a ton of fun. It's basically, they've learned that Helltide type events are entertaining, so they've just basically made incredibly dense, fast-paced Helltide events that are just spawning 3 or 4 pretty staggered constantly. Like, it's just get in, get stuff done. The storyline's all about the Tree of Whispers. Do you remember that thing in Diablo 4? The big tree that has the heads hanging from it that talk to you?
No,
you
but I also
the
don't remember
story.
picking up a game for a fantasy critic, so my mind's going to shit apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's a pretty dark thing, but someone has stolen the heads from this tree. And you need to retrieve them. The witches that are part of the Tree of Whispers are tasking you with it. But it's building out an interesting storyline where I'm like, I hope that they continue this forward into future stories. Because
that's cool.
This is some cool lore that we're getting deeper into this very weird thing in the world that was always there in the game and now getting deeper. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for this. And I hope the seasons kind of keep building on that. But I mean, playing Path of Exile 2 a bunch and I didn't get to the end game of Path of Exile 2, but I got into its current beta is before you can hit maps, they're in game. You complete the campaign twice. Once on normal, and then you get reset, and you have to play acts 1 through 3 again on cruel difficulty, basically the harder difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because they're hoping their plan is when it releases there will be 6 unique acts. They just don't have acts 4, 5, and 6 yet. But I will tell you, I made it out halfway through Act 2 and Cruel, and I'm like, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
I just don't. It is an improvement on the Path of Exile, a presentation of story and everything, but it's still not good. It's not something I want to experience. I'm like, I don't want to experience this. It takes too long.
Yeah.
And then shifting to Diablo 4, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the pace of game that I want. I can skip the story, create a new character, and now you have the option of, do you want to start with story intact? You're going to start from the base campaign and go. Do you want to start from the expansion and go, or do you just want to start as if you beat the expansion? I just chose beat the expansion, and I can just play.
Because you played and beat the expansion, right?
Oh yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it again. It's cool.
Yeah.
why make me go through all that again? You still start as a level 1 character. It just doesn't put you in story. You're just like, you're in the world. Go start fighting things.
Yep.
Do quests. Do whatever you want to do to level up to 60. Which I did in like 4 hours tops.
Damn.
You can level real fast.
God damn. I went back to Diablo 4 after the expansion came out, it was like, oh, you can start. No. What was it? Something back at your base where you could like level 1 character up to 50 or something.
Yeah.
So I just chose a class I hadn't played yet, and I was like, all right, now I have a level 50 barbarian. Great. For when I want to play later.
But yeah. It's really fast paced. It's not stingy with loot. It's a power fantasy. It's not PoE, especially 2, which is going for the like, you need to be paying attention all the time, because if you don't, you might get one shot by bosses, learn mechanics, what that whole thing, where I'm like, no, sometimes I just want to be able to turn my brain off and just blow things up in an isometric action RPG.
That's my stress
and get rewarded with it is stress release. I want those dopamine hits from loot. So feeds a different part of my brain, and I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, I'm well into starting the in-game Torment 1 difficulty today, so I have access to all the in-game. Just kind of going with a rogue this time and having a blast.
That's my rogue in a bit. I made. That's fun.
Rogue's freaking great. Dance of Knives is what I'm using. Spin to win. You just hold down. I have it on triangle on my controller. You just hold it down, and your rogue just moves around, spinning, throwing daggers out, and just annihilating the screen. Awesome. It's so good.
That's cool.
And then use shadow imbuement so that whenever creatures die from that, they explode in shadow explosions, and you just watch entire screens just blow up. It just feels good. It feels good.
Fuck yeah, it does. Man, it's been so nice to have that kind of gameplay as a constant in our lives since college. Diablo 2, 3 to 4.
Yeah, and it's just been interesting that way. And then if I want a more challenging kind of action RPG kind of game, I will probably just play Diablo 2 Resurrected at this point.
Yep.
It hits the middle ground that I want out of the mechanics. It's not as much of a power fantasy, but still hits the balance of like the right amount of like loot that's dropping, character customization, because customization is deep but not insane like Path of Exile 2. So yeah, I've just kind of found my balance there, which is nice. I kind of just needed, I would say, with the stress of the world and work right now, having something with just a big dopamine hit of just like, hey, this is just pure enjoyment just to play. I don't have to have real escapism in it.
Right.
Is very nice and needed.
Absolutely, right now. It kind of dovetails into where I'm at. I have been bouncing around from game to game way more than normal, and that's saying something. And I was like, oh, wow, thinking I'm kind of in a lull with gaming. Like maybe I need to, I've been watching more TV. Like this last week, most nights, I'm like, I sit down and play a game. Like I watch a show or I read a book. I've played a couple of, a little bit of games here or there. Fantasy Relink, we talked about last week. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is still pretty good. But I'm not playing it. I didn't play it last night before. I'm playing Final Fantasy 2 for the RPG backlog, enjoying that. That story is fucking great. But then I get through the section and I put it down and I'm just like, what is happening? Like maybe I'm burnt out on gaming. And then I'm just like thinking constantly about re-downloading Remake and starting Final Fantasy 7 Remake again. And that makes me so happy. And I'm just like, oh no, I'm in love and I am done with it. And I need to find something I love again. Like I fell in love with those characters. I fell in love with the story, the combat, everything about that game was amazing. And I keep thinking, I should pick up Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 10. Like I need another Final
Mhm.
Fantasy that is as good as 7. And obviously I'm playing through 7. I spent another probably 8 hours after Rebirth and played through 7. Moving into the second disc, and how much of that's focused on Tifa is awesome, and
Yeah.
where that story's going. But I'm trying to pace myself because I don't want to finish it all now and wait for years for the third one.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing like there's like a hole in my heart, like when Rebirth was done, that I don't know, nothing
What?
else is working, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if 9 or 10 are it. I'll try
I
one of
don't
them.
know. I would say, I mean, combat wise, 9 is slower because it's back to just like the ATB stuff, and
Yeah,
10
sure.
is slower as well. 10 is just like true turn based. There is no ATB. You just wait your turn. Take your turn. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people did fall in love with 10. I think you would laugh a lot at its voice acting because it's.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it was them starting to try voice acting, and it's not amazing all the time. It has some good parts, but hit or miss. 9 is just a really, really, like, you're playing Final Fantasies 1 and 2.
Yeah.
9 is a love letter to those games.
And I'm
In
probably
like
gonna.
its setting, at least. Like, take that type of just a pure fantasy setting and put a PS1 Final Fantasy look and spin on that.
I might fire up 9 tonight then, because fucking 1 and 2 are great. They're really good. I really like 2 a lot. And I'm surprised by that because of what I've heard about the leveling system or whatever. I like the
Yeah, the
leveling
leveling
system.
system is just, it's, some people hate it. I would just say it's weird in the end, but it is what it is. The pixel remasters make it a little bit better. I know that.
I think it's neat. I think the way that you level up is cool because it's not entirely. It's a little random, so it's kind of a little bit of a surprise every time. I think the characters are cool. The story is great. So maybe I'll fire up 9 and see if that does it for me. I've been reading a lot lately, which has been great.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's good to read. But then I think was it AGDQ or Austin Games Done Quick this
Yeah.
year. Linkus 7 had a Wind Waker randomizer race, I think.
Was that Wind Waker? They did, what randomizer was it this? Oh, you mean when
Oh, it was
Linkus
Ocarina of
did it?
Time. It was Ocarina
They
of
did
Time
Ocarina of Time this year, but yeah, they had done Wind Waker randomizer years ago.
before. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was the Ocarina of Time one, and then I was on my phone. I was like, I wonder if there was a Wind Waker randomizer, and there
Yes.
was. And I read up on it. I was like, okay. So I went to my computer and downloaded shit so that I would have it, as opposed to Zelda's Ballad when I bought everything and didn't download it until I was ready, and then the day before I was ready, they pulled it all down. So I downloaded it. It's easy as shit to get running. So I loaded up the Wind Waker randomizer today, and it is fucking sweet. So my daughter and I set my booth in 2 sessions today. First one an hour, second one was like an hour and a half. And just took turns passing the controller back and forth, playing through different areas where I'd play for a little bit when she was stuck, and I'd get back to her when she was ready to play, and we were going back and forth, and just reminding me of how many times we've played Wind Waker together and how special that is. And I was buoyed. I had a bit of that spark again. I was like, I'm just looking for like these feel good gaming experiences. But the randomizer, like beyond the fact that, and I don't know if you saw the pictures in the Discord.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So for the audience, beyond the fact that the way the randomizer works is it just takes the game, and there's parameters that you can put in to have items appear in chests and other places at random. So your hook shot's not going to be where you expect it to be. Your iron boots aren't where you're going to expect it to be. And you can choose where those items appear. The default is they just appear in dungeons, great fairies, free gifts, and puzzles, secret caves, miscellaneous, expensive purchases. But you can have them come in mini games, submarines,
Oh, wow.
tingle chests in the mailbox. Like you might not get your fucking what you need to go, through Dragon Roost Island. You need the damn grappling hook. Well, you may not have that, so you got to go find it somewhere. So it kind of reinvigorates a game that you've played over and over again, which is cool. But then part of it, you can set your starting gear. So there's a page where everything in the game is in the randomized gear list, but you can flip it over to your starting gear. So you can have yourself start with 8 Triforce pieces. Have yourself start with all, Din's Pearl, Pharaoh's Pearl, all that stuff. Or have yourself start with nothing. So we gave Link the hook shot, the grappling hook, and the leaf to start out with, which made it a little easier for us to kind of do some of the early stuff. So we just went to Forest Haven, we went to Dragon Roost Island and just fucked around. And every time we found a treasure chest, it was like the lotto, because
Nice.
you don't know what the
Yeah,
fuck's in there. And sometimes
that's such a good feeling.
it was the dopamine hit, man. It was
Yeah.
awesome. Sometimes it's a rupee. Sometimes it was a golden statue that we had never seen before because we'd never 100%ed. So there's like this Tingle statue. And then one time it was iron boots in this weird place in the middle of nowhere. So it was super fun. So it really, adds a new flavor to a game you played a lot. But then I haven't done this yet, but I want to I'm going to play a run where I give myself everything at the beginning.
Okay.
And then just see how quickly can I defeat Ganon, basically. And then you can fuck with this thing where you can give yourself all the heart containers and heart pieces, all your health at the beginning. You can start with 20 hearts or whatever. Just kind of break the game in a fun way, which is sort of what I'm enjoying about the Pixel remasters, where you can do the boosts and give yourself a bit of an edge. Although I will say for Final Fantasy II, the boosts aren't really as useful as they were in Final Fantasy I, which is fine. But we just had such a great time playing Wind Waker. We were using the Dolphin emulator. And what it does is when you choose those parameters, it creates a new ISO, and then you play that ISO. And then that ISO is, based on a seed, and it has a specific hash. I don't know what's called, but a huge address of numbers and letters that you can plug into the tracker, and it can tell you like, you will be fucked if you play this. You will not be able to complete it because you'll have things locked behind things that you don't want them to be locked behind. But man, Wind Waker Randomizer, I'm going to give you the link, Anthony. You can get it set up in about 4 minutes. And it is just fun to fuck with. And my daughter and I were having the time of our lives today. And I was like, and she was like, she's sitting in my booth in my gamer chair. She's doing this Wind Waker Randomizer she saw on AGDQ. And she's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on AGDQ. I'm playing Awesome Games Done Quick. It was so cool.
That's fun.
Yeah. So that's really all I played this week. Nothing to write home about, nothing. Just been bouncing around like mad, and then just mostly not playing at all.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's like bouncing around, looking for different stuff. TV is great. I've started watching Twin Peaks again.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I didn't watch it when it originally came out. I watched it in the last 15 years is when I watched it. Living in the town that was Twin Peaks when I moved back to Washington after my stint in Memphis. Lived in Snoqualmie, North Bend, which was where the external shots of Twin Peaks are filmed. I was like, I should watch this, but with David Lynch passing, I was like, I should give this a shot again. And I had never watched the HBO third season.
There's a third season on HBO?
Yeah, that came out in 2018.
Oh. That he was a part of?
Yeah, he was. He's the one who made it happen.
Interesting.
And he brought back all the main cast came back for it, plus like all the other actors that loved to work with him. We're like, yeah, we'll join you. Let's go back to Twin Peaks. And I've heard that it is weird as fuck, which fits for the type of stuff he makes. But I'm like, if I'm going to watch that, I need to rewatch the first 2 seasons. Second season, not nearly as good as the first season, but he had a lot less involvement in the second season of it. The other showrunner was doing a lot of it, and it kind of, I would say, got veered into the really silly at times. But it's worth getting through. But that's my TV that I'm like, I want to watch this with him passing. I want to see the return, which was the last commercial thing that got released that he made. he had made other like small art films before he passed, and he was an actor. He did some acting in other films as well.
Interesting.
But I'm like, oh, he passed, and for whatever reason, that whole thing bummed me out. And I was like, I want to watch this stuff.
I don't think I've seen a single thing that he has done.
I don't know how much you would like what he did. Like, how much do you like surrealism?
Nah, I mean, I don't know. I think that Stephen King delves into that in his writing from time to time, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, so. This is just in film, and it's weird and can be.
I mean, Alan Wake 2 was amazing because it was so much like Stephen King, which it was supposedly so much like David Lynch. So
yeah, David Lynch is definitely like the visual storytelling, like that surrealism, using cinema to really be like, yeah, you may not know what's going on, and it may not be like the most cohesive story, but the vibes are incredible.
Yeah,
and he's never going to explain to you what it's about. People asked him all the time, "What's this movie about? Like, is it about this?" And he would give no answers because he's like, it's up to the audience to determine what the meaning was for them,
right?
Not me. He just believed in art was an audience. It's up for the viewer to determine how it made them feel and what they brought to it. Which I'm like, I can respect that. I respect the fact of never giving information. Just being like, no, I won't answer that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be, I don't know which one to watch. Like, some of them are pretty, I mean, I would not recommend Eraserhead. That's a really surrealist, very weird, disturbing kind of thing. Some of it veers into disturbing, like body horror sometimes. But I'm trying to think of like, Twin Peaks is probably a fine place to start.
Yeah, I think that's right. I want to check out Twin Peaks at least for a couple episodes and see if it's something that I would enjoy.
More than anything with Twin Peaks, even if you don't enjoy it, you can quickly see that you're like, oh yeah, this like influenced TV. Everything after it was like, oh, you can tell story like a TV show that doesn't just reset the story every episode. Like, the whole season is about solving a murder, not a murder is being solved each episode. Yeah, you look at it and you're like, oh right, this is where this all started. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say on that, but TV, that's been a nice kind of escape when I've been pretty also just tired of, like, I don't actually want to engage my brain with like doing a game at the moment, because I'm just kind of exhausted.
Yep, I've been watching a lot of Critical Role, Vox Machina season 2.
I should do that. I was like, I forgot about the second season. I was like 2-3 episodes in, and I'm like, oh right, I should watch the rest of this.
That's happened to me. I picked it back up I'd watched 2 or 3 episodes, like, what the fuck? And I realized, wow, there's already a season 3, and I didn't finish season 2. So, yeah.
And then Mighty Nine is coming out sometime. I think either late this year or next year.
That's the one I really want, because I listened to probably 50 or 60 episodes of Vox Machina, but I didn't listen past that. But I listened to a shit ton of Mighty Nine. So
yeah, but cool. Yeah, I don't think I got anything else for the podcast tonight.
No, me neither. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. We will be back next week to talk about, just the releases coming out and what people are playing. Lots of stuff happening. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, and tell your friends about our podcast.
Later, everyone.